Welcome to our deep dive into the International Telecommunication Union (ITU), the organization that's been connecting our world for over 150 years. From the early days of the telegraph to the cutting edge digital technologies we rely on today, ITU has been at the forefront of every major communications breakthrough. Whenever we use a mobile phone or send an email or access the internet or watch television or streaming services or fly on a plane or check the weather or use satellite images for navigation, we are benefiting from ITU's work. In this video, we will explore ITU's rich history, groundbreaking achievements, and how it's organized today to meet the ever evolving needs of global telecommunications. The ITU is at the heart of global connectivity and beyond. As the United Nations Specialized Agency for Digital Technology, the ITU is dedicated to leveraging innovation to connect everyone, ensuring a brighter future for all. Since its inception in 1865, the International Telecommunication Union has been pivotal in advancing communications, evolving from telegraphy to modern satellites, mobile phones, and the internet. ITU's story is one of the international cooperation among governments, private companies, and other stakeholders. The ITU has a membership of 194 member states and over 1,000 companies, universities, and international and regional organizations. Headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, with regional offices in Brazil, Ethiopia, Egypt, and Thailand. ITU is the oldest agency in the United Nations family, connecting the world since the dawn of the telegraph in 1865. The ITU facilitates international connectivity in communication networks. It allocates global radio spectrum and satellite orbits, develops technical standards to ensure seamless network and technology connections, and works to improve digital technology access in undeserved communities worldwide. The ITU's mission is to bring digital connectivity to everyone, providing a trusted multilateral platform to broker international agreements and standards, share knowledge, build capacity, and collaborate with members and partners to spread technology access globally. Let us delve into ITU's transformative history in communications, starting with telegraph to telephone, radio, television, space and satellites, the internet, and mobile connectivity. From telegraph to telephone. Have you ever wondered how people sent complex messages over long distances before modern technology? For thousands of years, couriers on horseback were the fastest way to deliver messages. But at the end of the 18th century, everything started to change. CLAD introduced a network of visual semaphore stations across France, paving the way for the electrical revolution. Soon, experiments in sending electric signals along wires led to groundbreaking inventions. In 1839, London saw the world's first commercial telegraph service thanks to Charles Wheatstone. Meanwhile, the United States, Samuel Morse sent his first telegraph message using Morse code in 1844. Even before that, in 1843, Alexander Bain in the United Kingdom had already patented a precursor to the fax machine for transmitting images. As telegraph wires began to connect major towns in many countries, the communication revolution continued. By 1850, a submarine telegraph wire was laid between Britain and France, leading to a regular service the following year. In 1858, the first transatlantic telegraph cable was laid, but there was a hitch. Messages had to be translated into different systems when crossing national borders, causing delays. To streamline communication, representatives from 20 European states met in Paris for an international telegraph conference. They worked together to standardize telegraphy equipment, set uniform operating instructions, and establish common international tariff and accounting rules. This collaboration led to the signing of the first International Telegraph Convention on 17th May 1865, founding the International Telegraph Union. This historic date is now celebrated as World Telecommunication and Information Society Day. Just a decade later, in 1876, the next big leap in communication occurred with the invention of the telephone. The ITU at their conference in Berlin in 1885 began creating international laws for telephony. They specified 5 minutes as a unit of charge, unlimited call lengths to 10 minutes if others were waiting. The ITU set up its own bureau in Switzerland following a decision at the 1868 International Telegraph Conference in Vienna. Starting with just 3 staff members, the headquarters moved to Geneva in 1948. Telephones allowed people to speak directly over long distances, not just send Morse code. But what if a wire couldn't reach someone, like on a ship? In 1880, David Edward demonstrated wireless signaling at the Royal Society in London. The evolution of radio. Imagine a time when sending messages across the ocean was nearly impossible due to different radio equipment. That's where our story begins. In 1900, Fessenden made history with the first experimental transmission of human voice. He went on to create the world's first broadcast of voice and music in 1906. Around the same time, in 1901, Marconi achieved a groundbreaking one-way transatlantic radio transmission. But international radio connections faced similar issues to early telegraphy. In 1902, Prince Henry of Prussia experienced this firsthand when his courtesy message to US President was refused due to incompatible radio equipment. This incident spurred the German government to call a preliminary radio conference in Berlin in 1903 to establish international radio telegraph regulations. By 1906, representatives from 29 nations attended the first international radio telegraph conference in Berlin. They decided that The ITU's bureau would act as the central administrator for the conference, launching the radio telegraph section on 1st May 1907. This conference produced the International Radio Telegraph Convention with regulations that would be expanded and revised over time, becoming known as the Radio Regulations. Today, these regulations cover more than 1,000 pages on sharing and using the limited radio frequency spectrum and satellite orbits internationally. The 1906 conference also established SOS as the International Maritime Distress Call. The Titanic tragedy in 1912 underscored the need for further improvements. Later that year, in 1912, International Radio Telegraph Conference in London agreed on a common wavelength for ships' distress signals and required ships to maintain radio silence at regular intervals to listen for distress calls. Throughout the 1920s, radio usage surged, especially in popular broadcasting. The 1927 Washington Conference allocated specific frequency bands to various radio services, including fixed, maritime, aeronautical, mobile, broadcasting, amateur, and experimental. Keeping up with progress. Despite the chaos of World War I, ITU continued its critical technical work behind the scenes. However, international meetings were put on hold until 1925 when the International Telegraph Conference was held in Paris. This conference was a game changer, officially incorporating the International Long Distance Telephone Consultative Committee into ITU and creating the International Telegraph Consultative Committee. Fast forward 2 years to 1927, the Radio Telegraph Conference in Washington brought another significant development. The International Radio Consultative Committee was established, joining forces with CCIF and CCIT. These three committees were now responsible for coordinating technical studies and setting international standards in all telecommunications fields. In 1956, a major merger took place, combining the CCIF and CCIT to form the International Telephone and Telegraph Consultative Committee (CCITT). This was a pivotal moment in ITU's history, streamlining efforts and enhancing coordination across various telecommunications disciplines. The rise of television. The journey of television began with John Baird, who gave the first public demonstration in London in 1925. Fast forward a decade, a mechanical device was replaced by the electronic television systems developed in the United States. These systems used cathode ray tubes initially created by Carl around 40 years earlier. Regular low-resolution television broadcasts started in the late 1920s with notable improvements in the early 1930s. However, it wasn't until after the World War II that television truly took off as a new medium. In 1949, ITU released its first technical standards for television. Over the following decades, ITU published more than 150 technical standards, making it possible to deliver high-quality images across the globe. Today, ITU standards encompass all forms of sound and vision broadcasting, including modern multimedia and data transmissions to various devices. ITU's significant role in establishing international broadcasting standards was recognized by the US National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. with Emmy Awards in 1983 and 2012. Additionally, ITU received Primetime Emmy Awards in 2008 and 2017 from the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences for its video coding collaboration with ISO and IEC. One of the remarkable outcomes of ITU standards collaboration with ISO and IEC was the JPEG partnership. In 2019, the engineering team responsible for the first edition of the JPEG image compression standard, which is ITU T.80 series, was honored with an Engineering Emmy Award for its outstanding contribution to image coding. Space and satellites. The space age officially kicked off on 4th October 1957 when the Soviet Union launched the world's first artificial satellite, Sputnik 1. Not long after, satellites started revolutionizing telecommunications. The passive Echo 1 was launched by the United States in 1960, and in 1962, the first active direct relay communication satellite, Telstar 1, took to the skies. This joint project between France and the UK and the US made history on 23rd July 1962 by enabling people on both sides of the Atlantic to watch a live television broadcast simultaneously. Initially, tracking these satellites as they moved across the sky was necessary, but a more efficient solution came from the imaginative mind of writer Arthur C. Clarke, who in 1945 proposed the idea of geostationary communications satellites. By 1964, after experiments with geosynchronous satellites, the first geostationary satellite, SYNCOM-3, was launched. Much like radio frequency spectrum, the geostationary orbit around Earth is a finite natural resource that must be managed to prevent interference. In 1963, ITU held an extraordinary administrative conference for space communications, allocating frequencies to various services. Subsequent conferences continued to refine these regulations, ensuring the fair and efficient use of orbital slots. Satellites have become indispensable for linking broadcasting and wide telephone systems, providing navigation services, and supporting mobile communications. Satellite phones, for instance, can be lifesavers in emergencies or in areas lacking traditional networks. In 1992, ITU made its first spectrum allocations for global mobile personal communications by satellite. ITU's responsibilities also extend to supporting radio astronomers and space scientists who play vital roles in weather prediction and monitoring Earth's environment and climate. Climate change is a key focus of ITU's efforts alongside emergency communications like satellite-based disaster warning systems. The Internet. For thousands of years, humans have used devices like the abacus to help with calculations. The journey toward modern computers began in the early 19th century when Charles Babbage in London designed the difference engine in 1822 and later the analytical engine. Fast forward to the 20th century, where pioneers like Alan Turing in the UK and developments in Germany, the US, and other places laid the groundwork for modern computing. A significant breakthrough came in the 1940s with the invention of the transistor. However, The real game changer was connecting computers together, sparking the internet revolution. It all started in 1969 with ARPANET, a packet switched network of computers developed by the US Defense Department. This network carried the first email in 1971. Then in 1989, British scientist Tim Berners-Lee and Belgian Robert at CERN near Geneva proposed a distributed hypertext system now known as the World Wide Web. By 1990, the software was developed and made freely available not just within CERN but globally. The Internet, which carries the World Wide Web, relies on various types of equipment and telecommunication infrastructure working seamlessly together. The global expansion of the Internet owes much to ITU's technical standards, from the early days of modems to today's broadband. These standards are essential for the critical transport layers and access technologies that make the Internet accessible. ITU continues to address future challenges such as the transition to IP version 6 to meet the growing need for Internet Protocol addresses, especially with the rise of the Internet of Things. Today, the Internet is used by more than a third of the global population. Its immense social and economic impact means that policy discussions are crucial. ITU has a long history of fostering debates on how to make the Internet work for everyone. The World Summit on the Information Society gave ITU the mandate to lead these efforts, bringing together all interested parties. Additionally, ITU's work includes cybersecurity, protecting children online, promoting multilingualism on the Internet, safeguarding consumer rights and privacy, international Internet connectivity, and encouraging investment in the necessary infrastructure. Mobile connectivity. When it comes to connecting people in modern times, the mobile phone has arguably made the most significant impact, and ITU has been at the forefront of this incredible progress. The journey began in 1973 when Martin Cooper of Motorola in the United States made the first demonstration call with a handheld cell phone. By 1979, commercial networks were established in Japan, followed by the Nordic countries in 1981. These early systems used analog technology. The evolution continued with the launch of digital second generation mobile services in Finland in 1991 and third generation in Japan in 2001. At the World Radiocommunication Conference in 1993, ITU agreed on radio frequency spectrum allocations for 2G mobile telephony. However, as technology advanced, a fragmented market of various mobile phone systems emerged. After more than a decade of effort under ITU's leadership, a historic decision was made at the 2000 conference: the unanimous approval of technical specifications for third generation systems known as IMT 2000. This milestone enabled full interoperability of mobile systems and laid the foundation for high-speed wireless devices capable of handling voice, data, and internet connections. In 2012, the ITU Radiocommunication Assembly agreed on specifications for IMT Advanced, creating a global platform for the next generation of interactive mobile services. By 2013, ITU reported that there were 6.8 billion mobile phone subscriptions, nearly matching the world population. More people are opting for smartphones and other mobile devices that connect them to the internet, revolutionizing how we communicate and access information. As globalization surged and telecommunication markets began to open up, the ITU recognized the need to adapt. At the 1989 conference, it was clear that ITU's structure and working methods needed a comprehensive review. To address this, an additional conference was held in Geneva in 1992. This conference resulted in streamlining the ITU into three main sectors: Telecommunication Standardization (ITUT), Radiocommunication (ITUR), and Telecommunication Development (ITUD). This new structure was designed to enhance efficiency and better respond to the rapidly evolving global telecommunication landscape. We have taken a fascinating journey through the history and the impact of the International Telecommunication Union. From the early days of the telegraph to the digital age, ITU has been instrumental in shaping global communications. In our next series of videos, we will dive deeper into ITU's three main sectors: Telecommunication Standardization (ITUT), Radio Communication (ITUR), and Telecommunication Development (ITUD). We will explore their unique contributions and how they continue to drive innovation and connectivity in today's rapidly evolving world. Stay tuned as we uncover the vital work being done in each sector to ensure that everyone, everywhere can benefit from the advancements in telecommunications. Thank you.